Greetings. Since PowerSchool did away with the student grades template, uh, the Geer Up data needs to be gathered manually from different PowerSchool exports. There's only 6 fields that we need, but they're in 4 different tables. The method I'm going to show you is a brute force method. If you know SQL or Power Query steps, that would be a more efficient way. I don't know how to do that yet. So if you don't know SQL or Power Queries, this might help you out. I'm going to start with my first data export manager. My first table is going to be from the students. And the 2 critical ones are DCID and state underscore student number. To help make the data a little cleaner, I include school ID and grade level so that I can filter. My filtering looks like this: greater than or equal to 6th grade, less than or equal to 12th grade. I only want middle school, high school students, and I don't want to include graduated students. I've also said excluded school IDs 179 and 144. Those are my 3 elementary schools and are not going to have any data relative to what Gear Up needs. Your filtering will be different, so adjust as needed. Click Next and save to export, which I've already done. The second table that you need to get from is courses. And courses is just course name, course number, and for me, alternate course number. If I didn't use the alternate course number to hold the stars code, then I technically wouldn't need this table because course number is in the CC table. No filtering on this one. Click Next, export, and save it. The third table is the CC table. I don't know exactly what it means. Even PowerSchool doesn't know. But in here, here's my course number, which I need to tie to my section ID. And then student ID, school ID, and term ID. The critical 3 are the first 3. School ID and term ID I'm going to use for filtering. The term, I want greater than or equal to 3,100. 3,100 is the current school year. And again, I'm excluding all the CC data of my elementary schools because there's no sense exporting all of those. So far, so good. The fourth table was the one that was kind of hard to find because it's not listed in tables. In Data Export Manager, you have to go to Show All, and you go into PG Final Grades. I feel like this is a legacy table from PowerSchool Gradebook. Don't quote me on that. I am just guessing. The fields you want are final grade name, which is a little misleading. This technically gives you the term, S1, P1, S2, etc. So you want that field. It makes life way easier. The grade, this is where we pull in, use the section ID to pull in the stars code, student ID to pull in the student number, and start date is for filtering. So I click Next, and the start date, obviously the grade table is going to go back to whenever you started PowerSchool. I had over 500,000 records. When I add the filter by start date, it drops to about 47,000. So much easier to deal with. Click Next, click Export, and first part's done. Now we got to go to Excel for the next part. In order to import these into Excel, you may or may not have associations set up. I do, but in case you don't, click Data and click Import from Text. And I'm going to start with my student export. Next, and finish. And this is, now you'll notice that it says random state student number and random DC ID. To protect the innocent, I have changed actual data into alternate data for the purposes of this recording. I'm going to open let's name this one students. Now let's open another tab, and I'm going to do from text again, and this time I'm going to do my courses. Now we need to do something a little different in this one because the alt course number, if it's your stars codes, leading zeros will get dropped, which is a pain. So what I'm going to do is click next, and I'm going to highlight the stars codes alt course column, and I'm going to change that to text, because then it'll bring in all the text. Click finish, insert, and we're good to go. Technically speaking, I don't need the course name. The only reason it's here is for visual reference if I need to check something. If I don't need it, get rid of it because it's not important. Next, I'm going to import my CC table. Nothing special about this one, so I'm just going to finish. And then, oh, I forgot to name my courses. My CC. Now my last one, which is going to be PG Final Grades. And that ultimately is where I'm going to build my template for uploading to Geer Up. Okay, now the first thing I got to do is get the state student number into the PG Final Field Grade. I have the random student ID in this column, but I need the state student number. So to do that, step one, my DCID, I need to filter and sort it smallest to largest. Use your sorting method that you like. The way I'm doing is not necessarily the best way, it's the way I do it. Once I have it sorted, I'm going to select both of my columns. I'm going to name it students or DCID or name it whatever you want. Once it's named, I can reference it. I'm going to go back to the final grades table, and I'm going to create a new column and call it state underscore student number. And I'm going to use a formula called VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP is a really useful tool in Excel that allows you to search blocks of text, and this is why I had to name it, because you'll notice that I'm referencing that students block I just made. I want column 2 because of the 2, the very first column was the DCID, the second column was the student number, and finally false. The reason for the false is because if you put true, it will do a fuzzy search and approximations will work. Since we don't have room for approximations, either the number matches or it doesn't, false is almost always your best choice. Now I have my state student number associated with this section ID and this grade. I'm going to double click to copy down. And then for safety, this is a formula. If I copy or move, the formula will change. So I'm going to copy this column, right click, and I'm going to click this paste as a value. Now I don't need to worry about my formula changing. Are we good so far? The courses has the alternate course number attached to just the regular course number. We're going to follow a similar procedure, and we're going to sort it from least to greatest. And then, now I have blanks here. I'm pretty positive that if I didn't have an alt course number, I didn't upload it into stars. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort from least to greatest, and then I'm going to identify all the blanks using filtering. Oh, come on, what did you just do? And now I can come in. Now you'll notice they're all in order, starting at $15.99 going down. The reason why I sorted is because Excel has a nasty habit of deleting rows that it shouldn't when they're not all blocked together. So that's how I get rid of my empty cells. Now I'll say select all, okay, and then I'm going to sort my course number again. In a VLOOKUP, the first column has to be in order. I'm going to select all because no, I'm not. I'm going to select my block, and I'm going to call this courses because I'm going to have to do a VLOOKUP. Now, if I look in final grades, I don't have a course number here. I can't bring the course stars code directly into the grade table. So what I have to do is go into the CC table that does have a course number field associated with the section ID. So what I'm going to do is insert a column here, the stars course node code next to the section number. I'm going to come not next to the course number, I'm going to come the other side of the section ID because I need to, well, one, not copy those cells. I need to get the course stars code, say that fast 10 times. So to do that, I'm going to use a VLOOKUP. How to spell it, right? And this is going to be, I'm going to compare the course number. So I'm going all the way over to A2. This is courses, column 2, because that's the stars code, and false. And here's my stars code according to my section ID. Now, I don't want my formula to change, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say copy and paste as values. Okay? One more thing I got to do. I'm going to make my section ID in order, so from smallest to largest, and you'll notice that I have multiple section IDs. Well, that makes sense. I have multiple students. I don't need, for my searching purposes, to have duplication. In fact, I can't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the course number column because I don't need it anymore. I'm going to highlight all of this, and I'm going to name it sections. Because now, when I want sections, that's this block of text. I skipped a step. So we're going to have to rename this again. Sections. Come up here to the data ribbon and say remove duplicates. I don't care if there's duplicates in the other fields, like stars course code. You can have several courses with the same, or several section IDs with the same course code because it's the same class. But I can only have unique section IDs. So now that my unique values are gone, and you'll notice each section ID is unique, I'm gonna, here's a trick. I'm going to, I see that 871 is my last row, so I'm going to come to the formulas ribbon. I'm going to click on name manager, and here is my sections, which you'll notice goes all the way to 10,555. I'm going to take that out and say 871, and that just redefined my sections definition. So now when I highlight it, you'll see that, so now I'm good to go with my sections in order, and I have my block of text, so I'm ready for my last sets of VLOOKUP. So I'm going to come over here to the final grades table, and I'm going to add, I have the student number, I need the stars course, I need the term, and I need the location. So this is going to be equals, now before I write the formula, let's look back. Stars course, there's column 1. Stars course is column 2. Location is 4, and term is 5. Actually, we don't need 5. We only need 4. 2 and 4, because we need location. Term is over here. We don't need term. So that was incorrect on my part. Yay, one less formula to have to do. Okay, this is going to be equals VLOOKUP. and I'm looking up the section ID, and then we've got column 2, sections, column 2, and false. Now, I want this formula, copy that, whoops, escape, but I'm going to put it here in location, and I'm going to paste, and I'm going to change my column 2 to column 4, and there's my school code. I can highlight both of these and double click, and there are my formulas. Again, I'm going to copy and paste values so that I don't have to worry about a formula getting messed up. And here I have the term. I have the STARS student number, the STARS course code, and the location, and the grade. That's 5 of the 6 columns that I need inside the Geer Up template. I won't go into copying them over and sorting them. I hope this was helpful. Good luck in your uploading.